Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Monday webinar. It is 1 p.m. that time where we come and talk about parenting. If you are in the house, you can see me, you can hear me, then I want to say a big shout out to you. Welcome to the Skill Up Show. Welcome to that show where we skill up parents so that you can skill up your children. Welcome to the show where we transform the lives of parents and we empower them to go and empower their children and transform their lives. In today's show, we're going to be talking about how we can develop skills and cultivate habits that can lead to transformation in our children. If you are on this call right now, if you can hear the sound of my voice and you can see me on Facebook or on YouTube, why don't you go ahead and tag a friend who needs to be here if you are on Facebook? And of course, share the link with someone who needs to be a part of this show if you are on YouTube. If you are on YouTube and you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, and you have young children and preteen, how? All right. If you are not subscribed to our YouTube channel yet and you have young children and you have preteens, then you are missing. This is that place. The PTM, Parenting Through Mentorship Academy or community, is that place where we dedicate our time to helping parents build resources and strategies to support their young children and preteens. There is a way to parent children at every level. Do not mistake that. There is a way to parent children who are toddlers. There is a way to parent school-age children. There is the need that children have as preteens, and it is important that you know who and what you need for every season of your child's life. So yes, if you are here, then you are in the right place. If you are the parent of a school-age child or the parent of a preteen, you have children who are between 6 and 14, then I say, we got you. All right. So if you have a friend or you know someone who has children in this group, right? Why don't you go ahead and tag them or invite them or share the link with them so that they can join us on the show? All right. The ability for you to position yourself as a parent to be an advantage to your child is a blessing that can never be quantified. Helping your children gain agency, all right, helping your children learn how to have certain characteristics, how to have certain behavior, and how to cultivate certain habits that will help your children have agency is the job that every one of us has to learn. And it doesn't fall from heaven. Parenting is a learned skill. Parenting is something that you must invest time into. Scratch anybody, scratch whatever mindset you have or whatever you have heard from wherever that says there is no template for parenting. They lied to you and they are still lying to you. There is a template, and as a matter of fact, you are parenting with a template. You just don't know what template you are parenting with, because you definitely are parenting from a script that you have experienced or you have seen at one point or the other. That script may be your great grandmother's script that she passed on to your grandmother, and your grandmother passed on to your mother, and you are also yielding to, right? It could be that script. It could be the script of someone who raised you who wasn't your parent, and it could be any script at all. It could be the script that society has even handed to you. You are parenting from a script. So what we do when we come here, or what we do when we are saying let's get intentional as parents, is we want you to stop and identify the scripts that you are parenting from, because we as parents, as adults, are a reflection of the people who raised us. Now we want you to go back and look at that script and ask yourself, is this script serving me today? Is this script serving my children? Is this script allowing me to be the best version of myself? And it is this script going to allow me help my child identify their full potential and live in that potential. 1 second, please. Now, if the script is not serving all of these purposes, okay, or if this script is not empowering, then it means that you are preparing your child for a world that does not exist anymore. If you do not have one of those how many inch televisions, the one that I grew up with, the one that is black and white, if you don't have that same kind of TV in your room or in your house today, if you are using all of the gadgets that technology has advanced and has, presented to us, if you are using that, if you are not climbing horses or you are not trekking from, many kilometers to go out and come back today, it means that you have evolved with the time. Then how would you insist that parenting should not evolve? Parenting is not in the same world. So what we are saying is, you need to go back and look at your scripts to make sure that you are parenting with the right scripts, and to identify, or to go back and examine, the script, or examine the way you were parented, or those who parented you, does not mean that you are being dishonorable, or that you are dishonoring your parents or dishonoring the people who raised you. What it means is that you recognize the role that you play in the life of your child, and you would want to do right by your child as a custodian of their destiny. They would thank you for this. Posterity would thank you for this. God, I'm sure, will thank you for this also. So yes, what can we do today? Now that we know better, what can we do today to equip our children? What can we do today? What can we do today to ensure that our children have agency, that is the ability to influence their own decisions? Because eventually they will influence their decisions, right? Eventually. Now, how do we equip them so that when the time comes where our children have taken the front wheel of their lives and they are influencing their decisions and the things around them, we can be sure, or we can go to rest knowing that we have equipped them to make informed decisions, and that we have built them with the right behaviors, we have built them with the right habits, we have built them with the right character that will help them navigate the world effectively, be a blessing to the world, be a blessing to their generation, be a blessing to the community, be a blessing to the society. You want to be that parent whose decisions today would be a blessing to the entire world. That's what I want to be. I don't know about you. All right. So understanding is not the proof of clarity. Let's get this, okay? I was in a session yesterday with someone that I respected very well. I've heard these quotes before, but it hits me differently yesterday. And he said that understanding is not a proof of clarity. The results that you have is actually what is the proof. Because if we continue to, argue and argue, oh, this one did this, our parents did that, this one happened, our children, we turned out right, we turned out left, we turned out whatever, and there is no evidence in our lives. If you want to really know what evidence we have, just go out and look at what's happening in our society. Look at what is happening even in our family systems. You would know whether we actually have the results that we want. Because every time we can't see, or we cannot produce the outcomes that we want, it's very easy for us to turn the other way and blame it on everything and everyone else except ourselves. So even when our children are going the wrong way or are toeing the wrong path, rather than stop and think of what we have done wrong or what we can do differently, we like to think that they are picking it from school, they are picking it from somewhere else. There is something that is wrong with the child. It is a spiritual attack. It is everything else except us. What we're saying today is, why don't we stop and begin to re-examine how we are parenting, what kind of parents we have been to our children, what we have have in our toolbox that is helping us parent these children, and what it is that we have done right so far that is helping us produce the results that we have today. Because if you are not seeing the results that you want, or you are not seeing something that is similar to the results that you want, then it means that there is something that you don't know yet. It means that there is something that you are not doing right yet. It means that there is something that the child needs to know or needs to have that the child does not have yet. This is what it means to be intentional, right? Knowing and seeing, identifying these gaps, and then doing something to fill up these gaps. If you are here with me, don't just be in the background. Let me know that you have joined me. Let's know where you are joining us from. And of course, tag a friend or send a link to a friend so that they can also join us. All right. So we're going to be sharing. It's going to be a short show today. The children are on holiday today. And of course, it's quite busier when we have them at home, right, than when they are in school. All right. So when they are home, we try to make the show as straightforward as possible so that we can go and give them the time, so that I can go and give them the time that they deserve. All right. So let's trottle on. Right. What are those habits that we can introduce, right, that can help our children, that will help transform the lives of our children? When I have parents come to me, right, to work with their children, whether in the mastermind circle or in any other program that we have, or as for the academic needs, right, the first thing I say to the parents is that the only thing that I can guarantee you is that the child will be transformed, right? So I may not achieve what it is that you are looking for exactly. I mean, when I say that, I mean, I may not, some parents come to you and what they're looking for is they want their children to be a certain way, right? So they come and they want their children to be a certain way. Maybe this is a child that is constantly, pushing back, or is constantly, the child that is not obedient, or the child that is not doing exceptionally well in school, or the child that is beginning to get out of hands, because we have perfected not looking for support until our children, are beginning to post certain behavior, and we look at them and we're like, hey, there's trouble. All right. So when parents come to me like that, or especially parents who already think that their children have an issue, or their children have a problem, what I say to them is, this journey, not necessarily me as a person, the journey that we're going to take your child through is going to transform your child. And that's because education is actually a transformational, journey, basically. Okay. So at every point, we are ensuring that the child is learning and the child is becoming. So for you as a parent, that should be your biggest goal, that your child is learning, and that learning is internalized, and that the child enjoys learning. Because what you want to do at every point is to move motivation from you to the child, to move the motivation from being external to being internal. All right. Especially if you are working with this group of children. So what you want to do for this group of children is, first of all, you want to help them understand the why behind what it is that you want to see in their lives. Okay. You want them to understand the why. And then two, you want them to connect to your why, or to connect to the reason why you want this for them, such that the child needs to give permission, or how do I put it down? The child needs to agree with what it is that you are trying to do with their lives. Because a lot of times this is where the problem starts. You want something for the child's life. You have not been able to convince the child enough for the child to see the need of that thing. So because the child is not in sync, because the child does not understand the reason why you want this for them, so the child sort of rebels. All right. So you realize a lot of times that you are the one on the journey. You are the one forcing the child on that journey, because you have not taken your time to help the child understand the why. This is the difference between when you don't have knowledge, or you are parenting all by yourself, and when you decide to partner with collaborators or partners, okay, who are experts in this field and can help you, right, with tools and help you with resources and help you with strategies that will ensure that everyone is in sync and everyone is on the same page. So yes, your child needs to, you have to have a goal for your child. You have to have a vision for your child, where you are going through to what you're trying to achieve with the child. Number two, the child needs to understand that vision that you have, the why behind it. The child needs to understand the why behind it. Now, when the child understands the why, the reason for them understanding the why is because it is their journey and you are their support system. It's not your life, it's not your journey, it is the child's journey, and you are there as the support system, as the advantage that they have. But the child will have to own that journey gradually until the child takes charge of their journey. So what you're doing is you are helping them understand the why. You're helping them understand why they need to be full participants or willing participants. Now, the moment you get to that place where the child now understands his role in his own life, the child now understands why he needs to participate actively in his own life, and the child begins to own it. Now you are talking, because now it is intrinsic motivation that takes charge. That takes over, right? The child's own motivation now takes over. Now, at that point, you begin to step back because now the child's motivation has taken over. All right, so that's the next phase in this. And then after that phase, there is the phase where you now become a solid support system. The child is motivated, the child is beginning to drive his own outcomes or beginning to drive his own life, basically, in different areas, not just in one area. Because sometimes if we don't do this right, you realize that your child is probably motivated in just one area of their lives, and in other areas the child is still struggling or is not motivated. So that's why you continue to stay there as a support system to identify the gaps even as the child is on that journey. So for every point you identify a gap, all right, we introduce the right habits. Every point we identify a gap, we introduce the right strategy. Every time we identify a gap, we introduce the right resources, we introduce the right tools, and then we introduce the right support system. And with this, we are moving. All right, the child is moving from one stage to the other. The child is growing on that spectrum of motivation, moving from motivating themselves a little to the next level, to the next level, to the next level, until your child becomes determined. All right, so this is what we're talking about when we say the habits that we can introduce today that can help transform the life of our children. All right. So if you do not understand these things, you realize that you are all over the place because you do not understand that there is a way. You do not understand that there is a way to do these things. It's not just about the talk, okay, or about, they say children should learn this and I rush and I take them there. They say they should run that, then you run and you take them there. No, it is about you understanding your journey. It's about you understanding your journey and understanding the fact that it is not just you. It's the child that is the primary person in their own life, and that until the child becomes self-motivated and until the child can now take charge of their lives, then your job is not complete. So if you are a parent and you have children who are 6, you are still instructing them all the way. They get to age 10, you are still doing all of the instructions. Now your child is 12 and 13, you are still giving all the instructions. They get to 14 and 15, you are still giving all the instructions. Parents, there is trouble already. All right, there is something that is missing, because as I said, it is a transformational journey, and at every point the child should be moving from one level to the next level. Their motivation level should be moving from one point on that spectrum to the next. There should be progress, there should be advancement, all right, on that journey. If not, your child you may be packing all the knowledge, okay? You may have all the knowledge. Your child may have heard 1,001 things. The child may even be in a system where the child is being taught and all of that, but because the child is not because you're not paying attention to the child's personal drive. You're not paying attention to the child's journey. You're not paying attention to how the child is involved in his own life, and you are not allowing the child do, and you're not allowing the child grow on that spectrum. Then nothing is happening. You will continue to instruct and instruct and instruct, and by the time they become teenagers, you become weary, because now you have a 16, a 17-year-old who cannot do anything on their own. They are still depending on you. Now you have an 18-year-old that if you come in and you say, I need you to do this, doesn't have a problem with doing it. Yeah, I mean, the child does it, is very obedient. But when you are not there, the child cannot take initiative on their own because there is no intrinsic motivation. The child cannot take initiative on their own. The child cannot get on, with what they need to do on their own, simply because you are not there to guide, support, and get them to do these things. Now, these are the issues, and this is why it is important that there are certain skills, or there are certain things that you must begin to teach today in order for your child to take the front stage in their lives and begin to take initiative. All right, and begin to take initiative so that they cultivate the habits that they need to navigate on their own without you. All right, it's not enough that you are doing all the instructions. It's not enough that the child is obedient. It's not enough that the child is being taught. It's not enough that the child is packed with information all the time. It's not enough that you are the one saying, oh, you need to go and do this, and then the child does it. It's not enough that you just have those results and you can say, yeah, he knows how to do this right now. He knows how to do that right now. But then you don't add the fact that I have to chase him around. I have to be the one to drag him or her, right? You don't add that part. So I want us to be truthful to ourselves as parents and understand the phase in our children's lives, or the phase in their journey, so that we are not just assessing ourselves, but that we are also assessing our children and ensuring that our children are growing and making progress and are evolving even in their own journey. All right. So when we have parents coming to the mastermind circle, so the mastermind circle, by the way, is our peer mentorship and accountability group that we run for children and preteens. Okay. So it's a yearly subscription program where parents enroll their children or register their children to be a part of the circle. We begin at the end, we begin in September, October, right, is the time where we onboard children into the mastermind circle. Right. As a matter of fact, we are still taking in registration on the 31st of October, on the 2nd, right? So 31st of October, we will start shutting down all forms of registration. And by the 2nd of November, when we have done orientation for the last group of people who have joined, then we will shut down registration for the full year subscription of the Mastermind Circle. Now, when children come into the Mastermind Circle, we always say to parents, this is it. It's important that you get your children into the circle or get them into our system as early as possible. Because when you do this, then we can start programming. We can start cultivating those habits as early as possible. Now, those habits will become, the habits will be internalized, right, based on how consistent and how much practice goes into it. I said that transformation actually needs consistency. But transformation needs habit training. You need to train habits. You need to do this consistently, and there has to be accountability for you to see transformation happen. Okay? Many times what we have in our homes is we have parents who know these things need to be done, right? You know that these things need to be done. You introduce certain things to the children, but consistency becomes an issue, right? And then apart from consistency, accountability is also an issue, because the parent is either not present, or the parent is present but doesn't have all the tools that they need, or that the parent is doing this journey solo. Now, because you're doing this journey solo, your children, after a while, begin to think that this is about you and just you, because there are no voices that are corroborating what it is that you are saying. You are not partnering with anybody, you're not collaborating with anybody. Your children are not hearing your language spoken anywhere else apart from your home. You don't even have a circle that, believe in the things that you believe. So after a while, the child is listening to what you are saying at home. But what people are saying in school is definitely different from what you are saying at home. The child is listening to what you are saying at home. But when it goes to other places, it's not the same thing. So it's becomes a little more difficult for them to believe, right, and to internalize. But when you understand that on this journey you need collaborators, you need partners, you need accountability, you need a system, an environment where your child is hearing the same thing, is hearing the same language, is seeing people who have similar beliefs and similar values. When this is happening, then you see that your child is getting this learning from different areas of his life, and it's very key. So that's why we say introduce them early so that this becomes a part of their life as early as possible. Introduce them into environments so that they can see that there are other people who are like them. Let them connect with like minds. Let them connect with people or children who come from homes that have similar values as them. Let them begin to hear certain things as normal. All right. Now, when you do this as early as possible, this becomes default for your child. And you know how it is. Mastery kicks in because this becomes a part of them. This is what they are practicing consistently. This is what, their conversations are about. These are the things that they hear. These are the things that they see. Now, when they can behold these things, then it's easy for them to become these things. So these are usually the issues, right? While even you as a parent who now has knowledge and wants different, something good for your child, or you want, better than what it is that obtains around for your child, yes, you find yourself struggling even with all the knowledge that you have. It's because you have not put the system and you have not found the right partners and collaborators for you to achieve this. It takes a village to raise a child. It still takes a village to raise a child. And if you are going to raise your child alone, your house is not enough. Some people will say, how about school? Now, the challenge with school is this. The challenge in school is there is no place where, school is one of those places where you have as many diverse beliefs and ideologies. Ideology. You have all kinds of these in the school. When you get into your classroom, let's say your child has 20 other people or 24 other people, let's say it's in the classroom of 25. 24 other people, I promise you, those 24 children are from almost 24 different backgrounds, dynamics, and all of that. So many times it's not easy. There's no a sieving in the school for the kind of people who are in the room with your child. All right, the power. I was in a session yesterday and he was talking about the power of one room. All right, the room that you are can actually define your destiny. All right, so when your children are in that space, you have children from all kinds of beliefs, all kinds of backgrounds, because the school is a circular place where all kinds of people come in. Now, it's not very easy for you to have, certain kind of beliefs that can be shared. Number two, the school is a secular environment, and so the core in the school usually is academics, and usually you will have two, or at most times 1, 2, or 3 teachers, right, with so many children. The bureaucracy in the school system, all of these things in the school system sometimes does not allow your child's, unique way of learning or unique way of being loved and all of that, to be given attention. All right. This is not to say that you may not be lucky to get into a school that, has put all of these things in place. it has to be that it is a school that has chosen to be this intentional, right? To be so intentional that they've even put in place, mentorship systems and all of that. Now, more schools are beginning to get there, but how many? Right? How many? So that's why it's important that you are evaluating your journey and you are asking yourself, what is available to my child? What environment have I created? The environment that I've created, does he have this? Does he have that? Who am I partnering with? Who are my collaborators? Are we in sync? Is it feeding, is it giving all the vibes that I need? Now, if this is not there, then you need to create that support system. That's what we're trying to say. All right. We're not saying there's any size that fits, there was one size that fits everything. What we're saying is you have to be that advantage as a parent that is constantly evaluating and identifying the gaps that need to be filled, the things that need to be in place, the environment that needs to be created so that your children have all that they need, right, to be transformed into the person that God has created them to be transformed into that person that you have visualized as their parent. All right. So these are the things that we are talking about today. If you are with me and you are following, let me see you in the comment section. If you have just joined us or you are catching the replay, let us also know that you joined us and let us know that you are following. All right. So these are the things we try to create. This whole, we create this environment, in the mastermind circle where we become your support system. We become your collaborators. We become your partners. All right. And then we begin to throttle with all of this at the back of our minds. All right. Habit training is the vehicle that is needed for transformation. Habits are the vehicles upon which our children's lives will be transformed. If we do not help our children cultivate the right kind of habits, okay, knowledge alone is not enough. The knowledge that you have is not enough. The result is what validates the knowledge that you have. Yes, it is the results that validate the knowledge that you have. So neither is it a guarantee that because your child knows and your child knows and your child knows more, because you have packed your child with information, does not guarantee that your child, will be transformed, because it is not how much information that they have. It is how they are able to apply these things in their lives in order for them to be transformed. And it is through the habits that we build today in our children that our children will, be able to navigate and internalize all of the things that we are teaching them so that we can begin to see them transformed. We can begin to see the results of what they now know, right, in their lives. And so that's why in the mastermind circle, when the children come in, we get them to start setting goals. All right, so let's look at some of the habits. Okay, so we've talked, let's jump right into some of the habits that you must start cultivating right now. And as I am talking about these habits, I'm going to be sharing about 10 of them with you. As I'm talking about this habit, I don't want you to look at these habits as just task that they need to, things that, okay, I need to talk to them about. I want you to look at this as things that you need to incorporate in your system to create a system in your home where your children can do these things, where your children can apply these things in their life, amidst moving from you controlling or you micromanaging to them taking initiative and doing these things on their own. See, parents, don't see, I have been burnt, right, at some point in my life, right? So see me here. I am an intentional parent who has had to be, who has had to overhaul my journey and start all over again at different points. It's very easy for you to just sit down there and say, yeah, I'm doing so much, my children are getting results, and be comfortable. And then one day you will wake up and realize that you have been micromanaging. This did not move from them being, from it being driven or motivated by you to the children internalizing it. It's a dangerous place. And I'm begging you, because I have been there before. I'm begging you, right? I remember once, I had approached someone, I can't remember whether it was a book I was selling or what, and something like that. And I'd approached the parents, if they would want, something for their child. And she's like, yeah, don't worry, I'm a teacher. So I smiled, because I know that feeling. I know that place. She's like, oh, no, don't worry, I know these things, I'm a teacher. Who said that because you have knowledge? Who says that because you are in a classroom with 30 people, it automatically just transfers to your child, and your child becomes, simply because you have this knowledge? Don't make these mistakes. I have made these mistakes, and I can tell you for free. See, I became intentional. I became an intentional parent even before my child came. My son is 15 in 2 weeks. I became intentional as a parent before I had my first child. In fact, I had books waiting for my child to read by the time I was pregnant. In fact, as a matter of fact, I started reading to my unborn child when as soon as I could feel the child moving and all of that, I would have intentional conversations. I would read books. I would read books to my son, right, at the time. That was how intentional I was, right? By the time our son came, there were things that I had mapped out. Sorry. There were things that I had mapped out, and I'm saying I, right? I'm not even saying we, because that was it. That was all I knew at the time. I didn't know that there is a way. I didn't know that there are principles, right? And that if those principles are not in place, if you are not equipped and you do not know how, you will be wearied. You know how the scripture says, right? If you don't have knowledge, you will be weary. You will weary yourself out. That's the thing, because you do not know how to get to the city. All right. So it's important that you do not. I'm saying this because, as I said, I have this. I've been there and done that. So I don't want you going on a roller coaster and going up and down the place only for you to get to a point and you realize that you have been micromanaging, and no, the children have not, or your child has not internalized a lot of these things. You will wake up one day and boom, in your eyes, you will realize that you have just dragged people around. They have not actually internalized, and they have not become motivated. Then on their own, right, they can't do anything. In fact, if you want to be real to yourself, do something this week, right? The things that it seems like your children know how to do well, or the things that your children do when you are together, step back and just let them run it on their own, and be truthful to yourself to see if eventually your children can actually navigate on their own without you. Okay, depending on their ages. Make it age appropriate. You can have a 12 or 13-year-old, right? Just step away from the system and let them run the system on their own for a day or two and see, without your input, and see where they really are. Because sometimes we are delusional, because being there and instructing, and being the reason why they do the things that they do, we can get carried away, not knowing that our children are still not internalized a lot of these things, because we're micromanaging, or we are the ones running the show. Okay, so you want to do that. You want to pay attention to this, so that your child is growing, your child is making progress, your child is getting transformed, and your child is evolving, even while you are also evolving. So that's why it is critical that your child is on an intentional journey also, and that you learn the strategy, or you get a support system that will help you achieve these things in the most authentic way, that will help you achieve these things amidst calmness, and the resources that you need, so that you do not scream and shout your children through this phase, or you do not force and beat your children through this phase. And then at the end of the day, you realize that after all the beating, after all the everything, the yelling, the shouting, your children are still not equipped or they are still not skilled. That's usually how it turns out, because everything has been done under duress, everything has been forced, everything has been commanded, everything has been all about obedience. You realize that you hear parents say, oh, you hear people say, oh, didn't we turn out well? Didn't we turn out well? Oh, it's because my mom did this to me, because my mom did that to me. But then again, in your life as it is right now, would you say, would you say, you know, as it is, that all the things that our parents were aiming at, the values, the character, would you say that as a result of what they did, we imbibed all of those things? Okay, because if we do or we did, then we won't be struggling as we struggle out here in the society. We won't go to an office or go to places where people cannot do the right thing, except there is a boss that is supposed to be a Satan, right? So you see bosses who are strict, being fired, or bosses who are strict moved to other places, and you see old people rejoicing. Now, if you go closer and you ask, you will hear things like the boss was not, you will hear things like the boss was too strict. You will hear things like everybody had to be coming to work at the right time because this person was not going to take crap from people. And so this person became a bad person because this person has got integrity in the right place. Okay, this person was not allowing people steal. This person was not allowing. These are the things that we see, and you realize that people, the same us, the same people who are screaming, we turned out right, are the people that cannot function except there's a dysfunctionality in the system. So the truth is that a system is dysfunctional, and that we came out of that dysfunctionality doesn't mean that we turned out well. All right, we just didn't die in the dysfunctionality. All right. So let's jump into it. So the first habits you want to, and these are the habits that we train the children with in the mastermind circle. Okay, I've talked about the mastermind circle, of course. And if you are here and your child is not in the mastermind circle, especially your very young children, it's a foundation ground. If you don't have your child, and I was supporting you on building that foundation, right? It is such an advantage. I promise you, it's such an advantage, right, that you can give your child, that I don't think, as a parent, you should miss, especially if you are being intentional and you are on this call and you can hear me. All right. The mastermind is an advantage that your child, that will lead to so much transformation in your child, not just you seeing a certain result because your child is being forced, or your child is being dragged, or your child is being, pushed, by your external motivation. The mastermind, our goal is to get children to be self-motivated, and we have achieved this result over and over again with the children that we graduate. We actually graduate the children when they are 14 in the mastermind circle. So we have raised children who started from not wanting to take initiative, or not doing anything, or not being able to take initiative. And by the time we were graduating them, these children were already propelling their own lives. And that's because we have a system that gradually leads the children, guides the children, hold them accountable to the point that the child wants to do well for themselves, not just because of their parents. The children in the mastermind get to the point they don't feel forced anymore. The child is running his show on their own. And you would think that these are old children. I'm talking of 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 9-year-olds who are already saying to their parents, I need to do this. It's time for this. I have to do this, and all of that. And that's where we all want to get to, where we are not the one micromanaging everything. That's where we want to get to, where our children can do the needful. They do the things that they have to do, not because we are forcing them, but because they know the why and they understand their role in that thing. And of course, they have the ability and they are willingly ready to do it, basically. So number one, you need to cultivate the habit of, you need to get your children to learn how to set goals. There's hardly anything I would teach that I won't talk about goal setting. There's hardly anything, especially because of the group of children that I work with. Your 6-year-old, your 8-year-old, your 10-year-old, your 13-year-old needs to understand that a goal is a destination. They need to understand that the goal is where your focus should be on. Now, because many times a lot of us in life do not have where we are going to, that's what has plagued many people from our generation. You have a 40-year-old person that doesn't even know where they are going to. Sometimes someone asks you, what's your 5-year plan? We don't even have a 5-year plan. We don't have a 5-year plan. All right. Most of these things is because we were not taught, we were not guided to have big goals or big dreams. We were not. So there isn't a big vision that we have ahead of us. So there's nothing to look forward to. So we live one day at a time. We live one opportunity per time. We are not headed somewhere. There is no focus. There is nothing to behold so that we can become. All right. So you do not want your children to get into that space. You don't want to raise children like that, especially in this world today. I mean, especially in the world where people like like Elon Musk have sat down and they've looked at the future and they've decided that in fact there should be a robot that will carry children and women don't have to carry children. People have plans for the next 10, 15, 20 years and the things that they want to do to the world, or the things that they want to, where they are transforming the world too. Meanwhile, we are sitting down here. We can't even have a vision for the next 5 years of our lives. As in a vision as simple as, what am I going to do with my children? What am I going to do with myself at retirement? Simple visions like that. All right. So these are the issues. And as I said before, it's not because we are lazy, a lazy generation. I'm talking of us, those people born in the 80s, the late 70s, the Generation X, right? And millennials. Basically, it's not because the Generation X or millennials and millennials, it's not because we are lazy. It's just because the people who raised us did not raise us to be that visionary. We are ambitious, but we're not visionary. So everybody wants to do well. Everybody wants to make so much. Everybody wants to be rich. Everybody wants that, but nobody is creating any plan. All right. Nobody's creating any plan or doing anything that would help us get to that destination. We're not taught to do that. All right. A lot of the time. So now you will have to unlearn, or you have to learn, unlearn, and relearn, right, to get yourself to that place where you begin to think that way. Now, we don't want to put our children in that space where they have to start learning and unlearning, and all of that. We want to put them in the space where this is default. This is what they learn from day one. Our children wake up in the morning. It's midterm break right now. They wake up in the morning, and the first thing that they do to me, after we've greeted in the morning, and all of that, they've gone back to their room to make their beds and all of that. The next time they come, they're coming to me with their to-do lists. They're coming to me with the list of what they plan to do for the day. So you have something that is guiding you. You have a focus. You have a destination, basically. All right. So that's it. And that's what the children in the mastermind circle also do. You wake up in the day, make your bed, say your prayers, and then plan your day, right? Plan your day. We cannot keep going up and down the place like there is no goalpost, there is no destination. You are just hovering around. All right. So this is it. You want to make this default. You want to program the children like this from the very beginning so that they don't have to come and unlearn and relearn, all of these things. They take off with this principle as a part of their lives. So very key. Teach the children to set goals. Teach them to set goals, break those goals into set long-term goals, set short-term goals, break those goals into, money and monthly achievable goals, break them to weekly achievable goals, break them to daily achievable goals. In the mastermind circle, the children set goals as soon as they get into the circle. We don't joke with your vision board. Every mastermind has a vision board. You have a vision board, and that vision board, even what we do every day, is to enable you achieve the goals that you have on your vision board. And as I said, it's a daily thing. All right. So that's number one. Number one is get them to set goals. Number two is to get the children reading daily. Why are you getting the children reading daily? Because you want to teach the children the habits right? That can help them regulate themselves as human beings. Habits that will teach discipline, habits that will teach self control, habits that will make them lifelong learners, habits that will make them make them lifelong learners. Apart from that, that will make them equipped about, the things. I mean, knowledge and understanding of their world. All right. And reading daily is such an amazing exercise to achieve all of these things that I've talked about. You want your child to achieve, lifelong learning skills. It's children who love to read that want to learn, right? You can't say and say, "Yeah, I love to read, I love to learn, I love to learn," and you don't read anything, you don't research anything, you don't get information about anything. How are you learning exactly? All right. How are you learning exactly? What you are is a function of, the books that you're reading, the conversations that you're having, and the room that you belong to. So, what rooms do you find yourself? If your child is not in, a gathering like the mastermind circle, if you're not putting your child in an environment, in a room like the mastermind circle, where they meet like minds, where they have children who speak like them, who speak their language, where they have mentors who speak your language as parents, where you have partners who can, reinforce what you are teaching. If your child is not in the right room, okay, and your child is not reading the right material, how are they going to be knowledgeable? We are a function of the books that we read, the people that we have conversations with, and then the environment that we grow in. All of that content is what makes up who you are. So the room that you are in and then the conversations that you have will determine your destiny. Definitely. All right. So children should be reading. Encourage them to read, even if it's a few pages every day. Reading broadens their horizon, right? It broadens their horizon, their perspective. And through reading, you can teach and you can pass down your convictions to your children. Every time I have a new conviction, every time I want to reinforce a conviction, I look for a book that we can read together as a family. We read it and it opens up, critical thinking. It opens up conversations, people sharing their perspective, and with this the children are learning and becoming. And this is how you raise children who love to learn. You are there packing one lesson teacher after another lesson teacher. It is not how much knowledge or information you pack in to the child. No, that's not it. It is what they are doing with that knowledge and information and what they can do on their own. Are you educating your child's mind? Are you educating your child's hands? Right? And you are educating their minds. Are you educating their hands? And then, of course, their ears. All of these things come together. So it's not about packing things into their ears and all of that, and their hands are not practicalizing. All right? We do this very critical in the mastermind. In fact, the children review books every month. It's such a robust community and a place to build your child's foundation. Number two, journaling. We take this for granted, but do you know how journaling equips you as a person? Okay, and of course, we're talking about the things or habits that our children can learn now that will become defaults, can be the programming of the child and becomes your child's normal. You know how growing up, children used to, why am I saying growing up? You know how you will go to one of these one if you live in the north, or you go to how do I call them now? You go to like Morocco, in Lagos, those kind of places, and you see how children wake up in the morning, and it's just normal that you wake up in the morning and you stroll out. You are in the area, you are in the neighborhood. You cannot. So growing up, that was default for a lot of people, and all that, right? Things like that became default. So it was a normal behavior. There are many other normal things that we did back then that our children can't do right now. All right. So what you want to do is you want to put these things as your normal. You want to put these things as your new normal, so that this is all that they know, or this is what they know, basically. All right. So journaling is such a great habit, and it helps you to reflect. So it helps our children create emotional balance. It helps them to be able to reflect at the end of the day. What did I do today? What did I achieve today? It's a skill that even as adults we are struggling with. A lot of adults struggle with the ability to quieten their spirit and think of, and then project, and all of that. That's why planning is difficult, because people do not want to think. It encourages, it encourages children to, record their achievements and, be able to trace those achievements. The next one, you want to teach children how to manage themselves and manage their time. So I say to the children in the mastermind circle, self-management is time management. When you can manage yourself, then you're able to manage your time. So you teach them how to prioritize, all right? So they need to learn how to prioritize. They need to learn, that there's time for everything. They need to learn agency, right? The ability to influence their own decisions. So basically, that it is, and the thing is, you can't get children to have agency. You can't get children to develop grits. You can't get children to have all of these things we're talking about by just talking about it. All right. So this is not about having, okay, so now I can be in this class and I have children that I'm teaching and I go for 1 hour. It does not necessarily mean that this child is able to take this, translate this information, and put this information in their lives. So this is what we have recognized in the mastermind, especially because of the group of children that we work with. So we don't just come and have sessions with children and sound really smart and authentic, and for the parents who is hearing, you're hearing and you're like, oh, correct, but you keep forgetting that you are the one hearing correct and you can execute that way. The child is not in that place where they can take this information, especially for this group of children. Older children, yes, maybe. The older kids, yes, maybe. But this younger ones, your 6-year-old, your 8-year-old, they're not able to take this information, process it, and then refine it to the point that they begin to live it. So there has to be a system that can break it down and then give it to the children as tools that the children can do regularly, and then follow up with accountability and come on now. See, the mastermind is a wholesome system. That's all I can say to you. If you're a mastermind parent, you are here, and you can you share with us so that people know what we're talking about here. All right. So get your children into that time management, self-management. All right, let them learn how to do that. Teach them to plan their day. I said that by setting aside specific time for everything that they do. There should be time for homework. There should be time for play. Yes, play, lots of play, lots and lots of play. We encourage the children in the mastermind to play. As a mastermind child, you are a playful person. Be playing, because when children play, their hands are connected to their brain. So when they play, this is how they develop their brain by getting their hands to do. Very key. All right, then empathy. The next thing is empathy. You cannot raise children, right, who will be transformed and can transform the world if you're not teaching them the act of kindness. You're not teaching them to put themselves in other people's shoes. You're not teaching them to put themselves, right, to understand other people's perspective and know that we may not all agree on the same thing, but it doesn't mean that every one of us, the other person is wrong just because I have a different perspective. Give them the ability to listen to other people, right? Listen to other people and gain insight into the way that other people think. This is why we do a lot of the things we do in the mastermind circle. We have the children in groups, where they share perspective and they understand other people's perspective and all of that. All right, so these are the issues. We have 3 minutes. All right, the next one is gratitude. If you do not raise children, if we are not teaching the children the habits of gratitude, and that gratitude starts right from acknowledging gratitude starts by acknowledging themselves first. All right, it starts by being self-aware, being aware of what you are capable of, being aware of your superpowers. Okay, that's how we share it with the children. Every one of us has got a gift. Every one of us has got a talent. Every one of us has got something that God has placed within us, our potential. All right, you need to first recognize your own potential and appreciate God for those potentials that you have. And it's not just about appreciating God for the potential. It's being able to recognize that it is a gift, it is a blessing, and so you cannot sit on it. You can't sit on it. You must do something, right, with it to show that you appreciate that you have it. So the simple fact that our children are learning to do things, that our children are being creative with their talents and their gifts, the fact that our children are willing to use these gifts to be a blessing to other people, is them showing how grateful that they are to have it. Now, when they have this gift and they understand what it means to hone them, then they appreciate it when they see other people who are gifted, or they appreciate it when they see other people who carry value. So it's because our children do not recognize value as a thing. That's why it's difficult for them to recognize when people have value or when people are giving them value. And that's why we are raising entitled children, because our children do not understand the value of having a talent and honing that talent into a skill. So because you don't understand what it means to have a talent and what it means to be valuable, that's why when people give you things, when people work hard, right, you think it's an entitlement. That's why we will be raising girls and telling them, whatever you do, make sure you marry a rich man. Meaning, make sure that you marry someone that is valuable to his world, that he is creating value. Now, you create nothing, just be there redundant and go and leech on someone that is living a purpose, because your job is to come and leech. Oh no, your purpose is to leech on another person's purpose. So you see, these are the mindsets, So we need to get our children to that point where they understand gratitude practice, when they understand the value that they carry, when they connect with their value, their core, they connect with their superpowers, then they know that I am grateful for this superpower. You know the way it is, the talent, right? The parable of the talent. And when the master came and he said, well done, the servants that multiplied the 5 talents, right, and all that, and the one that multiplied the 2 talents, that's it. So it is even gratitude that helps you understand that you have a talent and you need to multiply it. So people who don't recognize their talent and do not use it do not know how to appreciate other people's talents. So get children. So when you know how to appreciate other people, then that's why the gate man will open the door and you will be grateful for it. That's why your teacher will take time to explain something to you, and you're not frowning and you're not getting upset that the teacher took time to explain something to you. You will see it, that the teacher is doing you a favor. The teacher is being kind to you, and not that teachers don't have any other thing to do. So that's why it's their job. They pay. We have paid school fees, so they must do it. So these are the issues. So when our children understand gratitude, then they become grateful. All right, the next one is chores. Why are your children not doing chores? Why are your young children? Why is your 4-year-old? Why doesn't your 4-year-old have a chore? Your 6-year-old, your 8-year-old, your 10-year-old, why do they not have chores? Chores do not just equip your children, doesn't just help your children develop their hands, as we said. All right, we are developing their minds, their hands, right? Very, very key. The hand is the tool of the brain. So if your child is not using his hand, if your child is not creating, if your child is not doing, then there is a part of your child's brain that is not developing. See, parents, scratch that crap that people make you feel that when your children are working, when your children are doing things, when your children are understanding and learning the value of hard work, they make it seem like it's suffering. It is a child who has the iPad in their hands all through and have Ngozi in the kitchen doing everything and have this other person washing the car. They feel, or people make you feel that is advertising. That is the new slavery. The new slavery is your child doing nothing, your child being controlled by gadgets while other people are learning to be skilled. That's the new slavery. So when your child is not learning to equip their hands so that they can equip their brain, your child is being enslaved by their own parents. So no, your children, our children should be doing chores. Yes, even if that chore is for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, let no child who can use their hands, use their legs, who has mandatory, who has authority, how do you put it? A child that can actually voluntarily move their body, then there is no way that child should not be doing something with their hand. Because as I said, the hand is the tool of the brain. So children ought to be doing things. Research has shown that the children who did chores at an early age turn out to be more successful in the workplace, turn out to be more successful entrepreneurs, more successful employees, and all of that. Research from Harvard and all other prestigious places. So no, The new slavery is having children who are stuck to gadgets and not using their hands. Because even the Elon Musk and the people who are creating all of these robots and all of that, imagine that they couldn't create those robots. Now we are raising children who cannot even think, because it is when we use our hands, it's when we do that we think. Critical thinking comes when you are trying to achieve something. All right, when you're trying to achieve something, you're trying to create something, so you're thinking critically and all of that. You don't have to carry blocks for you to work. Just do things that will help you take initiative. And that's why they are not taking initiative, because we're not giving them tasks that will help them take initiative. Because if a child wakes up and he knows that the dustbin is going to be there until I throw it, the child knows that the house is going to be dusty until I dust it, then the child knows that I have woken up and it is time to move. So the child moves because there's a responsibility that compels them to move. So if you don't put those responsibilities, then they do not do, because there's nothing that compels them to do. What is the motivation that will lead your child to do? This is very key. So chore, very, very important. All right, I'm going to give you one last one. I was supposed to give you 10, but let's stop here. Positive self-talk. Teach your child to be self-aware. All right, this is what we do to the children in the mastermind circle. We give you affirmations every day. The affirmation I say to the children every day: open your mouth and say those affirmations. When you say those affirmations, you are telling your brain what you think about yourself. As you are speaking it, your subconscious mind is taking it because you said it. So the subconscious mind takes it in and it creates an experience. Basically, it creates an experience, okay, of that thing, and it stores it up. As the child grows older, at some point there will be negative things that will come. People will say negative things to them. What do your children have in their storehouse that will remind them of who they are, that will remind them of what they are? It's those positive self-talk. It's those affirmations, the ones you're saying to them, the ones you're teaching them to say to themselves, and the ones that are a reality, the ones that are believable. And believability comes not just from mere talking, it comes from doing. So you can, if you like, wake up and call your child, hey, champion. Champion, call them champion for 8 years and let them not win one thing. Something in their head tells them, I am not really a champion, because they know that champions become from winning. So yes, don't just affirm them. Get into the space of those affirmations and make those affirmations a reality, so that your children can believe in themselves. When our children believe in themselves, then nobody can tell them differently. A lot of times that we are afraid when they go to school, they will go astray. It's because we don't know what we have deposited, and because we are not sure of what it is that we have deposited, because as a matter of fact, we have deposited little or nothing. So that's why we're always afraid. So you see parents will call 5 times, Alpha, of what have you done? What happened today? It's fear. A lot of times it's fear. If it's not fear, you will relax and allow your children call you. If you have trained and you've done all the due diligence, you will relax and you know that we've done this work. He will call me. Do you understand? I remember back then when I was in the university, it concerned some of us. We had gone from where we are coming from, we had gone to school and all of that, so there used to be those phone booths, at the end of school. I had 2 of my friends, we were always together, and all of that. And then one of them, one of my friends would always, in fact, we know it's routine that on our way out of school to the hostel, she would stop at the booth. So we knew that we will make a stop at the booth. So we make a stop at the phone booth and we are just outside. She has gone to call her parents. It was a giving. So she called her parents. And you know something? It didn't even trigger us to call our parents, to the fact that she was calling her parents. See, the habits that you train in your children is what will help them navigate even when you are not there. She called her parents as far as I can remember. Every single day we went to school. She stopped. That was before GSM. Yes, I came from that world. All right. That was before GSM. She stopped at that phone booth every day. She practically said the same thing every day for the times that you're close enough to hear. Hey, mommy, what happened today? And then she does some gist about what happened in school. They laugh, love you, and that's it. But that was it. That was it. So you will not be up and down the place. Most times we are jumping up and down, calling children back to back up and down. It's because something tells us that if they hear our voice, if we continue to micromanage them even from a distance, It is what we keep them or preserve them. You see that thing that is, oh, it's my mother's prayer. It's okay. Yes, prayer works. But don't put your children in that place where you are there sitting and waiting for the mercy of prayers when there is grace, as Coach Wendy will say. There's grace that is available right now. Let us embrace our children. Let us position our children. Let us build the right habits. Let us start that transformation today. All right, if you'd like to be a part of the Mastermind Circle, we have the information scrolling right now. Registration for the Mastermind Circle ends on the 30th or 31st of September. October, this is October, it ends on the end of October. All right, and you want to be a part of the Mastermind Circle if you have children between 6 and 14. So they still have a few days to join us, and after that we will shut down. But I promise you, it's such a robust community. Your child needs to be here. All right, and then if you have 10 to 14-year-olds, we have an amazing program that we're running in the month of November. It is called Pathway to Becoming a Resourceful Teenager. We want to take children on a journey in the month of November, where these children can initiate projects of their own. They can initiate a project on their own. They can start that project with our support. They can launch out themselves. And I'm not saying your child has to go anywhere, be online or anything, but we want children to set goals and targets for themselves, achieve those goals and targets through a systematic, structure. Okay, we want them to do something for themselves from the beginning to the end, so that at the end, all the confidence, all the self-esteem, all that comes with that achievement is all for the child, so that the child can take all of it and savor all of it. And that, you will be shocked, may be the one thing that your child needs in their life to begin to believe in themselves and believe in their ability. I know what I'm talking about, and that's why I come up with programs like this every now and then. That I am a child motivator and support expert. So when I say sometimes all that your child needs is to break out by doing something from scratch to the end, I know what I'm talking about. All right, so just check in the comment section after this class. You will see the flyer and information that you need. We want only 20 people for that session. Only 20 people, no more than that. It's a 4 weeks. It's a weekend, every weekend in November thing. So we want just 4 people. Just 20 people. So if you like your child to be a part of this, go ahead and use the information and enroll or register them for the class. Thank you for joining me again. We do not take it for granted that you allow us be a part of your parenting journey. Thank you for joining. If you caught the replay, let us know that you got value from the session. Thank you again. Have a fantastic week ahead. Thank you and God bless you. Bye. Bye-bye.